Hi, I'm Libby Gibson, Town Manager. Welcome to What's Going On in Town Government. Oh, so Gino, I got a critique about the show.
Oh, good.
I heard one end of this and then the other end of this. And one person says that I use my hands too much and it's very distracting and annoying. The other person said they're mesmerized by my hands. I'll try to.
You could model those hands.
I'm going to try to keep them down here. I'm a hand gesturer. I can't help it.
We can always zoom in a little closer.
No, God, no. Let's not do any zooming in. Okay, so at Board of Selectmen this week, we had a workshop meeting, but we had to take care of two business. See, I'm already moving my hands down here. I can't help it. I'll sit on them a little bit. I can't do that. It's too restricting.
Just bring your hands up.
Okay. So we had two business items to deal with. One of them was an update on the Sconset Bluff Erosion Control Project given by the DPW Director and the Natural Resources Coordinator. And what they basically talked about was how the project's going, where we are with Concom, Conservation Commission applications, things like that. There were a couple of citizens there who had some concerns about long-term environmental impact, particularly with the volume of sand that is going to be required for the project and the number of truck traffic coming in and out of the project, which are very valid concerns. I don't
You mean
think
in the
anybody.
Future, they're concerned?
Yes, and this ongoing sand requirement.
They have to put sand on either end of it to prevent
scour. And I think on top of it too, if it gets washed away. So there's definitely concerns about that. And I'm not sure anybody has the answers to that.
How close are they to completing it?
Very close.
Yeah.
They're very close.
Right.
Another concern expressed was that a couple of people thought that the public doesn't know enough about this project and there needs to be ways of communicating it better to the public. So we had a tiny bit of discussion about that, and I think most of the board and maybe some of us felt like there's a lot of information on the town website. There has been a lot of information in the newspaper. I think you've done shows about it. And anybody can go to a Concom meeting, but not everybody can get to a Concom meeting, understood. So I don't know really how to get more information out. But if anybody has any ideas about that, we'd love to hear it. So there was that discussion. Our other business item, what was it? Oh, the warrant for the 2014 annual town meeting. The board had some discussion, continued discussion about warrant articles. Some were revised, some were changed, some were eliminated. And there's going to be more discussion next week when the board is scheduled to adopt the warrant, January 22nd.
Anything stand out, Libby?
Well, a couple things maybe. We have a lot of zoning, which planning director went over, and a lot of it relates to the master plan, and this is the implementation of it. It takes time, and there are a lot of area work groups that have come into being to help get neighborhoods comfortable with zoning changes or talk about them and support them. Again, all relating back to the master plan. And okay, so a couple weeks ago, some citizens came in and asked the board to put a warrant article on to purchase the Egan property in the Dead Horse Valley area. And the board generally agreed at this point anyway, I don't know if they're going to change their minds by next week, to put on an article and a ballot question for an override. I think it's about, I forget what the purchase is, around $7 million or so.
You mean Dead Horse Valley?
Well, not Dead Horse Valley itself. It's in that area. It's the Egan property sort of behind that, coming off of Prospect Street, Chicken Hill, that area. The board already went to town meeting in 2012, I think, to seek the authority to acquire that property because at the time it was coming up for sale and there was a discussion about the town acquiring it and swapping it, and the discussion never really came to any kind of a fruition except for a warrant article which authorized the acquisition, but there was no money associated with it. So we have the authorization to acquire it, although we don't necessarily need that because the charter allows the Board of Selectmen to acquire property, not eminent domain, but by purchase, gift, or other means. However, it usually gets down to the money. We don't usually have $1 million on hand or more, generally, a lot more, to make any kind of a purchase. So that's why you have to go to town meeting. Anyway, the authority to acquire is already there regardless.
Why would we want this?
Well, that's a question that's out there. I think people may want it for open space or recreational purposes. There was some talk earlier back in the 2012 time about possibly additional cemetery space. There may be some reasons, I don't know, but it's not necessarily coming from the town, this proposal. It came from some citizens. So that could be an interesting discussion. The fire station. That could be interesting as well. Right now, tentatively, there is a warrant article on the warrant to appropriate funds subject to an override for a new fire station at Fort Fairgrounds. Well, I shouldn't, actually, it doesn't mention at Fort Fairgrounds. $13 million for a new fire station. Subsequently, the board has established a fire station work group that is looking at a variety of options, expanding the fire station in place, which has some issues, but it's an option to look at. Moving it as originally planned to the Fort Fairgrounds site, moving it to some other site. They're looking at, where else could this be moved? They're also looking at the possibility of satellite station or stations elsewhere on the island, like maybe on the north side of town, not as far out as Matticat, a new one closer in, maybe in the Cliff Road area. That's been discussed. That would have an impact on the budget for staffing purposes in all likelihood. But anyway,
Would
long
that
story
be
short,
volunteer?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
All right. We're
although
done.
volunteers-
The volunteer days are done?
No, volunteers are very active. They've fallen off over the years, and it's difficult because we have a full-time force, firefighting force, and they are often supplemented by the volunteers. The volunteers need to be trained. The requirements and regulations and rules about firefighting have changed, over the years. So it's hard to get people to get interested, to go through all that training. And then there's insurance issues, and there's just a lot of issues. That's not to say it isn't doable and it isn't viable. It is. But there needs to be a commitment on the part of the town to fund all of that. And there sort of is, I would say. I don't want to diss any of the volunteers because they're very dedicated and they're very willing to pitch in and help.
And many towns
they do.
rely totally on them. I mean,
Yes.
most
In our
small towns do.
Yep. In our situation, of course, we don't have mutual aid readily available, so we really need to have a reliable 24/7, 365 force. Anyway, the point is that the fire station work group is looking at a variety of options, and I am not sure if they're going to feel as though they're ready to come to town meeting with a complete analysis of all the options and a recommendation. I just don't know yet. So that's a little bit up in the air. That was the warrant article discussion. Then we got into our workshop topics, which were two things. An update from our energy office, and they talked about a lot of really interesting things. The update will be posted online. We talked about solar, geothermal, LED streetlights, energy efficiency improvements at various public buildings, things like that. There's some interesting new solar developments. There are solar shingles you can get now, and that might be an application that could be used on the south-facing roof of the town building possibly, and maybe other south-facing roof. That's apparently the best direction. But there was some question about what the hurricane rating is and whether they pass muster with the HDC and stuff like that. But if they're shingles,
they're not made of wood though.
No, I think I don't know what they are. Are they metal? I don't
Well,
remember. They're some material that's not wood. That's right.
But they look like shingles?
But they look like shingles.
Have you seen them?
I've seen them, yes. Very interesting.
You put a cedar shingle up against this thing and it actually
I don't think
looks
you
like
put cedar shingle, I don't think you have cedar shingles at all. They're individual, like solar shingles.
Yeah, but I mean, aren't we supposed to have shingles or clapboards everywhere on the island?
Yes, we are.
So how do you
you'd have to get around that because you see these things look like those.
They really do look
Yeah,
like
they really do.
All right.
But I'm sure the HTC would disagree. So anyway, that's just something to look at and talk about as we go forward. The other thing we did was we had a report from the chairman of the Capital Program Committee about fiscal 15 capital projects that are being recommended. And the board hadn't heard the final report yet. The Finance Committee has heard it. So this was the board's turn to hear it. It should have been reversed, but sometimes things just don't go that way. Anyway, that was a good presentation. Next week at our meeting is Public Hearing Wednesday, and we have a lot of public hearings. We have public hearings for the new licenses for the former Captain Toby's, which is going to be called, I wish I could remember, like BACK Barbecue, something like that. Okay. But I think the concept is still a restaurant bar type of thing.
But barbecue.
But barbecue. 18 Broad Street, which is up the street a little from the town building on the left, it was Cordillera Imports. That's going to be like a little cafe
Ooh,
down below, you know.
wow. Who's
Yeah.
doing that?
I don't remember.
Okay, but it's somebody independent. It's not like one of the places next door.
I
Like
think
Dune
so.
would-
I think it's,
Dune might be
no,
doing it.
yeah, I don't think it's Dune, but I could be wrong. But I don't
Okay, so
think
it's
so.
another restaurateur.
Yes, so
Okay.
that'll be interesting.
Wow.
We're reviewing enterprise fund budgets for the next fiscal year, for fiscal 15. And as I said, the board is scheduled to adopt the 2014 annual town meeting warrant. Currently, there is no Board of Selectmen's meeting scheduled for January 29th because the board typically does not meet the fifth Wednesday, and that is a fifth Wednesday. There are not enough fifth Wednesdays, by the way, but this happens to be one. Although, sometimes things come up and we have to meet anyway. So those are, oh, of course, how could I forget this? At next week's meeting, there's also a county meeting. And there's a couple of things on the county agenda. One of them is Bartlett Farm Road, Cisco Brewer parking situation again. Believe the last time the board talked about this in November, the parties were instructed to try to come up with some kind of a plan for parking. And I think they're underway with some discussions, but I don't know that they've come up with a solution. And
We'll
that's
know
going to be
next
hard.
week. Next week we'll.
I guess we'll know, or maybe there's just ongoing discussions and it's more of an update about where they are. So,
Libby, did you
Yes.
find out about that music festival?
oh my God, no, I did not. I can't believe I didn't. I did ask someone.
And they
I
didn't
asked
know?
and they didn't know.
All right,
I'll keep at it
we'll find out.
if I can. Why don't you find out? You know what? I'm going to task you with that.
I'll find out then.
There you go. You can report back next week with a full,
Okay.
full report.
That'll be fair.
Okay, so 3-day weekend. That is awesome. January is close to being over, which is also awesome.
Yep.
That's about it.
All right,
Lots of stuff going on, but it's all good.
all righty.
Yeah, okay. I hope I didn't use my hands too much. See, I just did it again. I
That's
can't
okay.
help
At the
it.
end of the show, it's fine.
Yeah,
We
the end
don't
of the show's
see them
fine.
right now anyway.
You don't? Okay.
No.
All right. Maybe you can cut the hand stuff out if it's so bothersome to people. Just kidding. It's bothersome to me. I can't help it. Some people are hand people.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, today, January 17th, if you see this person later, give a big happy birthday to Mr. Nat Lowell. It's his birthday today, along with the birthday of Benjamin Franklin,
Oh.
and the First Lady's birthday is today. I bet Nat is really happy about
boy,
that.
I didn't get invited to that party. I would love to go.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean-
okay with it. I'm not going.
Oh, no, not me. I'm going to go.
All right, well, you can read up and report about that
Okay.
next week, too. All right, thank you very much. See you next time.